Blog Talk Radio.
Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Everything okay?
Vanessa, would you mind taking a seat? There's something we should talk about.
What happened?
Just this little mishap, kind of a hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
I think we need to remain calm, though.
What is this? Huh? What is this?
It's a typo.
Okay, what part is the typo? Your name?
Yeah, they can make mistakes.
And my son's whole name is right here. That's a typo?
You don't believe those Amber Alerts, do you?
So the Amber Alert is a...
Yeah.
Sir James Coffey is now a suspect himself in a reported kidnapping.
What?
12-year-old Kareem Manning was abducted from his school earlier this afternoon. The latest victim of what is being called a dangerous psychotic break.
Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of the Punch Drunk Critics, and on with me is John Nolan of the Punch Drunk Critics as well. What's up, John?
What's up? Just surviving in day number whatever of quarantine time.
You know, this is our first show since the stay-at-home, the shelter-in-place rules kind of came down on here in Virginia, and you're in Maryland, but you're kind of going through the same thing. Anybody who's smart is staying indoors right now. Now, I know there's a lot of states where they haven't put any orders in place. Those places are stupid. But in general, anybody who's smart is indoors. And this is kind of our first show since we all have been stuck indoors. Because 2 weeks ago, because it's been a couple of weeks, and 2 weeks ago, you and me and Ryan and our colleague Ronnie were meeting and having meetings at at a place for lunch. And it was right after that, oh, well, no more of that. So
that was right on the that day was right on the line between when it was okay to go out and when it was stupid to go out. So we got it under the wire.
It really was, because I was I was talking to somebody. I was like, yeah, we're going to meet again in 2 weeks, and I was like, and then I looked back on that tweet and I was like, yeah, I don't think we are actually. I don't think we're going to meet for a while.
Yeah.
So, but we're all in this together. You know, we're all trying to maintain through this outbreak that's going on right now. It's really, to me, it's scary as shit, man. I mean, I'm terrified of this whole thing, which I think is scary, but the whole thing is really scary to me. So.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look back and, because when things happen in real life, if you're a person that watches movies too much like us, when things happen, that when things happen in movies, it's just a caricature version of the way it happens in real life. So you look at all these apocalypse movies, and it's always World War Z or something where there's zombies. And the truth is, but there's one commonality. It's always a virus. Whether it's Resident Evil or World War Z or whatever, it's always a virus. So what we're seeing, thankfully, the mortality rate of this thing is under 1%. But what we're seeing is the true way that it would probably happen if it's going to happen. You're not going to get zombies, but you are going to get a lot of bad stuff. So it's a terrifying look into what's possible.
What's the mortality rate? Has it dropped? Because it was pretty high for a while there.
It was 0.66% worldwide.
Well, I mean, that's now. It was up over, but maybe after the numbers have grown, it's dropped. But it was pretty high.
You follow this stuff a lot more closely than me. A couple days ago, I saw it was 0.66% globally. And I you know what? I got to question the accuracy of it, because where I read that was in an article describing the differences between this and the movie Contagion, because the movie Contagion was 25 to 30%. So who knows if that was accurate or not. And that, my friends, is what's wrong with the state of people repeating headlines.
Which Contagion, one of the lead images that I put on this week's show, by the way. But yeah, it was pretty high for a while. I don't know. I won't sit here and tell you that I know what the mortality rate of COVID-19 is right now, but I know for a while it was at least 4%. But as testing numbers have grown, that number may have dropped. So I really don't know. I expected it probably did drop since then, since the numbers have grown in terms of who's been tested and who has it. But it's at times like this, it makes you happy that we have movies to entertain us. At the same time, like you said, you and I have seen so many of these zombie outbreak movies that some of this stuff is creepy, man. Like I went to the grocery store this morning, and I had my mask on and my gloves, and everybody's out there in masks and gloves, and it looks like something out of a horror movie. I mean, you had people standing in line outside of the grocery store because they only let a few people in at a time now in most of these places because you can't have people too close together. This sounds like a zombie movie. And another thing that these zombie movies, that these outbreak movies have in common, all of them, is that the government doesn't treat it seriously in the beginning. Like they don't, like they ignore the scientists. They do all that stuff. It's like all the stuff that's happened to us right now. It's like, oh yeah, it's just not a big deal. For like, it's like all the worst elements of an outbreak movie has happened to us, and and maybe that's why I'm so scared of it, or at least part of the reason, because it feels very familiar. You go outside,
what's that?
What's that phrase? Art follows life, or
art,
wow, I don't know why I'm blanking on it.
Imitates life.
There you go.
Art imitates life.
Or vice versa. I mean, there's always going to be people that hedge their bets both ways, and unfortunately, when it comes to things like this, hedging bets is not what you do. But there's still is. But here's the plus side. There's going to be a time very soon when the stuff's all passed, and hopefully things aren't forgotten. And I don't want to take this in a political place, but hopefully the things aren't forgotten, like the pundits that went on wearing gas masks to make fun of it in the beginning, saying it wasn't that big deal.
Jesus
or
Christ.
Hey, I don't know, all the politicians that shorted stocks just before all this stuff happened.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we don't forget all about all that.
I hope you're right in that out of this comes like an age of enlightenment. That's what I'm hoping. It usually takes something really awful for something like that to happen, sadly. But I'm hoping that we do become a more enlightened people all around after this. Another thing that what's going to happen is that there's going to be 1 million movies made up about this period of time.
Oh, easily.
I mean,
it's not going to be. And people are thinking, well, the numbers are huge, but it's not like a cinematic experience. But when it comes to stuff like this, it's not the global news story that they're going to make movies out of. It's the personal story. The person that's fighting a quarantine to get to their dying mother or something like that. That's going to be the story.
Yeah. It's going to be about the people who go crazy being shut into the house for months at a time. Those are the little horror stories that we're going to get, not only in real life, but we're going to get them as movies as well. We're going to get those. It's going to happen. It's going to be crazy.
Current death toll of 67,260 worldwide. That's 67,000 different stories that can be told. So Hollywood's going to do at least 0.1% of them.
How many movies about the Chilean miners did they try to make? Like 3 or 4? I mean, and there was only like 40 of them or 30 of them. There was 33. In fact, the movie was called The 33. So there were 33 of them. We're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions. By the time this is over, there are going to be a lot of movies about this period of time, and a lot of coronavirus babies from people who are jacked up and got nothing else to do.
The baby boom is going to be baby boom part 2, but I think there's one thing that we can all agree on, and that's being a part of history is generally not a fun experience. 9/11 wasn't fun to be a part of it. This, not so much.
No.
So
and our generation is experiencing quite a lot. Actually, we're
not getting
going
a fucking
through
break. That's for sure.
No kidding, man. I kind of want to can we just be peaceful for like 2 decades? Like nothing. Can I go into my old age?
I know people hated Reagan.
Can I go into my old age riding a
wave
of peace?
It seems like we're due. I mean, I know people hated Reagan and the recession and neon lights, but can we get our 80s, please? Where the worst thing we had to worry about was a Cold War.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. Anyway, let's talk some movies, man. This has been the thing is, we've all just been kind of locked away at home, and that clip that I just played was from the movie Coffee and Kareem, which is out on Netflix. Stars Ed Helms and Taraji P. Henson, who loved Taraji P. Henson. Betty Gilpin is in it too, by the way. And I can't remember the kid's name in the movie. He's atrocious though. He's terrible. He's really bad. So I was commenting to somebody that, you know, because we were talking about you know, this streaming life that we have now. There are no more theatrical films right now. There won't be for quite a while. Not until maybe not through the summer. I mean, there's not going to be any theatrical movies. It's crazy. So we're watching everything on streaming. And I was like, well, you know, for me, the number of reviews I've done has not changed. Like, that was the thing I was worried about. I was like, I wasn't going to have anything to do. Most of the streaming stuff I've usually given away to the other people on the site. So like, so what am I going to do? I was like, what am I going to do? Just write news all week? I was like, I hope that's not the case. But no, in fact, my output has remained the same, if not gone up, because there's so many options and so many things that were going to come out in theaters are now moving to streaming. So it's like I did 3 reviews this week, and so it was like nothing changed, and I did at least that many last week and probably that many the week before. So it doesn't change. Nothing's changed. But the one thing that has changed, the quality of the movies has changed.
I was waiting. That's so funny. I was waiting to interject, and I'm glad I didn't, because I was going to say, well, maybe your output didn't change, but I'm sure I was literally going to say the quality of what you're watching has probably changed. Your review quotient has gone down a bit. Your rating quotient, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I did 3 movies this week, and look, they weren't all atrocious, right? But Coffee and Kareem, I gave a 1 star. It's the worst movie I've seen this year. It's absolutely awful. It's I don't know if you heard that clip I played at the beginning. It's loud and unfunny, and basically it's Ed Helms is like this weak ass cop, like traffic cop, who's dating Taraji P. Henson, which is absurd in and of itself, right? I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, whatever. I can gloss over that for the sake of a comedy. I'll gloss over the fact that joint would never happen, but okay. She's got a son, 12-year-old Kareem, who's just a rambunctious, annoying little a-hole. Like, I couldn't stand him. Like, the movie has them being chased by killers throughout the movie. Like Kareem witnesses a murder, and the guys who did it are like after him. And I just wanted them to catch him. I just wanted them to catch him and just catch him. And you remember you've seen the movie Knockaround Guys, right?
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
We talked about it. You remember that one death in the movie that kind of catches you by surprise because you don't think it's that serious of a movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanted that to happen. Like, I wanted that to happen in Coffee and Kareem. Like he gets caught, he gets disappeared, and like damn, well that's just the movie, and now. That's what I wanted. It's just loud and frustrating, and you know, it tries to do this thing where it deals with race because, you know, Ed Helms is a white cop with a black woman, and you know, there's this whole, you know, police brutality thing, that angle that it flirts with playing with, and it doesn't really do anything with it, so it just ends up being really crass. And all the little kid does is call him a pussy the entire movie, or threaten to accuse him of abuse, which is like, why? What is the punchline of that exactly? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, physical abuse and sexual abuse is what he accuses him of multiple times in the movie, like, or he threatens him with multiple times in the movie. And he's I'm like, what's the punchline? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to laugh about that. Like, it's not funny. Like, it's not. There's nothing funny about it. There's nothing, no nuance to it. It's just annoying, and it's 8 minutes long, and it feels like 3 hours. And I was like, I can't take it. So it is a terrible movie, and I wanted to like it because I like everybody in it. Like, even David Allen Greer is in it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in this movie, and it's directed by Michael Dowse, who's usually reliable. I mean, he did Goon and Take Me Home Tonight. He did Stuber, which I think is actually pretty funny. I like Michael Douse. I like everybody in this movie except for the kid. Maybe if the kid was gone, if they had done what I had told them to do and just killed him off in like the first 20 minutes, it would have been an okay movie. But they didn't do it.
Is there at least any kind of, because based on the title and the poster, I would assume that there's some kind of like blaxploitation angle to it, like a field like the 70s. Does it even go into that at all? Or
No. Nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well,
that title's frustrating too, because it's so easy and lame, and it just lets you know this is the movie you're watching. Like, this shit is gonna suck. There's not gonna be any effort. It's not even a good role for Betty Gilpin. Hey, when she's like opposite Ed Helms, because they're both talented people, but overall, it's not really a good role for her. Like, it's not a role that lets her make a character unique like she does in The Hunt, or like on Glow, right, or better written. Anything else she's done better written than this that lets her kind of create her character, make it her own. There's nothing like that in this. It's just like it's just bad.
Well, that leads to one of the things that I'm most surprised about this, and really, there's not really a way to rush movies to streaming, but we've seen quite a few movies jump over to, and Amazon started their home cinema or whatever they're calling it. A lot of movies going to streaming early, but you'd think that Netflix and Amazon and Hulu probably have a bunch of stuff in the coffer just waiting to release for a certain time. And if I'm them, I'm firing all cylinders right now. Just let's get as much in there in these next few weeks while people are stuck. Maybe not the best stuff that people are going to watch, but things like, Jesus Christ, Tiger King has become a global phenomenon because of this.
Did you watch that?
I don't think.
Did you watch Tiger King?
I've watched about half of it. I didn't want to, but I felt like I was missing out on something. It is the. Did you watch? You didn't watch it at all?
Oh no, I watched it on a day. I watched it all in a day.
I couldn't get past after half of it. I couldn't go any further, but I can understand what the appeal is. I mean, I'm not really a cringe watching type guy. I've got lifelong anxiety issues, and they're always triggered by watching anxious stuff on screen. Like whenever you watch movies where there's like a cringy guy trying to talk to a girl in front of a bunch of people, and it's going to go bad, I literally start to get like heart palpitations watching shit like that. So watching this was not a fun experience, but I couldn't turn it off. Even though it was like making me physically ill at one point, I couldn't turn it off, and it was the weirdest thing. And if a documentary like that,
you need to finish watching it. You need to finish watching the whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you the only thing that's keeping me from it right now is something that I don't think you and I have ever talked about. Future Man. Did you watch Future Man at all?
No, but I remember a lot of people talking about it at the time. But no, I didn't watch it. Is it good?
It is. The first season is really good. I mean, I think it's basically The Last Starfighter, but in a Judd Apatow world. For anybody that doesn't remember when it came out, it's this Josh Huntington is it Huntington from The Hunger Games?
Oh, Josh Hutcherson, yeah.
Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
He plays this like loser janitor that's in his early 20s, and all he does is go home and plays this game called the Biotic Wars, and then that nobody's ever beaten. And one day he beats it, and then the two people from the game show up, and they're from the future, and it was a training tool, la la la.
Oh God, that is the last
what goes
Starfighter.
on? It's exact. I mean, it literally when they come in and he first meets the people from the game, he stops. And he's like, wait, this is the plot from The Last Starfighter. Like trying to call him out on it, but it's raunchy, it's gross, and it's funny. And if you like video games, and if you like time traveling stuff, especially that goes to the 60s and the 80s, there's some great scenes with one of the characters in the 80s. It was really good. The second season was kind of a little bit more weird, but the third season just dropped on Friday, so it's the final season. So I've got that I'm getting into right now.
Okay,
but I think you would like it. You should at least check out the first season.
What's it on? Is it on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu?
Hulu.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I'm
all
definitely
these
check it out
have
after I finish The Handmaid's Tale. That's where I'll go to next. I'm in the middle of The Handmaid's Tale right now. I'm in season 2, so.
I shouldn't say anything because I haven't even given it a chance. But Angela watches. My wife watches it and she loves it, but I haven't yet. And I love Yvonne Strahovski. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Strahovski.
And and Elizabeth Moss as well. So I should probably really watch it, but I just haven't made the.
Okay, but I know you, and I know the shallow reasons that you like them. So it's not you're not going to find either of them attractive in this show.
See, the only person shallow here is your assertion of my inner self. Yes, that's part of it, but I can also appreciate the talent of people as well. I refuse to not take that as part of it.
I know you well enough to know you will go in there with the best of intentions of liking them for more than their looks. But after a couple of episodes of watching them in very drab clothes and bad hair and no makeup, you will not find it. You will quit watching. You will be bored, and you will start watching something else.
I may always say things that sound chauvinistic and all that, but I'm deeper than that on a real level. I'll say I can appreciate people for their talent.
Okay, well, I didn't say you couldn't. I just said you would get bored and you would watch something else.
I probably would, but it's less to do with the looks and more to do with the subject matter. It's not enough knife fights for me.
Well, there won't be any of those. There's a lot of extra. I mean, I started reading the book, and I see here's another thing that sucks about what we're going through right now is I do my reading at the gym. Like I do my reading when I'm working out, when I'm doing my cardio. That's when I do most of my reading, including my comics. My comics are backed up on my Kindle, and I haven't read them in weeks because I haven't been able to go to the gym because our gym is closed. So I started reading The Handmaid's Tale, and because I haven't been to the gym in weeks, I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to watch the series. And I'm glad that I did. I'll be honest, the book, which is, the book is good too. It's one of those things that's infuriating because you feel like we're like one bad election away from this kind of extreme thing. But but the TV show is like that too. The TV show will infuriate you, and it's also really compelling, the twists and turns. And Elizabeth Moss is fantastic, and so is Yvonne Strahovski. I mean, the entire cast.
And honestly, that's the only thing that draws me to watching something like that is because I've always had a fascination with movies and TV shows that seem like they take place in such a far away conceptual time, but in reality, we're already there in some ways, just not obviously. I think if anything, to circle back around to this virus, I mean, the good thing, the silver lining at the end of all this is it's really kind of magnified income inequality and the difference in being rich and not. I mean, from something as simple as watching a celebrity in their multi-million-dollar mansion say, if I can stay home, so can you, all the way down to preferred testing sites and stuff like that. But you see that, and you see what's going on now, and then you see something like The Handmaid's Tale, and you know that it sadly is about one or two bad elections away from being possible. One or two bad things from happening. Maybe, another catastrophe and a bad election, and we're there almost,
Yeah, it's crazy. I've also started watching Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
The sitcom on Pop. I think it's coming to an end, and right now I think it's in its final season if it's not over already. I just heard too many people talk about how funny it is. It's a show with Eugene Levy and his son Daniel Levy and Catherine O'Hara, and I'm into season 2 of that as well. And I'm moving slower on that because I'm so wrapped up in Handmaid's Tale. And it's really funny. Like that first season is incredibly funny. And I never had any idea of what the plot of Schitt's Creek was. In general, I can't stand Eugene Levy. Like I've never found him funny. Like even like when I would watch like the old like SCTV stuff or whatever it was, that crap that he was on. I've never, or American Pie, anything. I don't like him. He's just not
even reserved. Not even reserved Eugene Levy. Like American Pie, I get, but like when he's in, I'm trying to think of it. What is it? It wasn't Best in Show. It was Best in Show.
Well, he's in those too.
Like when he's more reserved a little bit. And he's okay. He's never really somebody I'd like, but you can stand him.
I don't like him, but I like him in this. It's like he's like a hair away from playing that character that I don't like. but he doesn't quite go there. It's a little bit straighter, and I dig it. It's just but the premise is really unique, and I had never known what the premise of it was, despite all the commercials I'd seen for Schitt's Creek, and all the times people had talked to me about it. No one's ever told me what the plot was, and basically it's a rich family that gets everything taken from them because of a fraud, basically, and they get sent to a town that the father had as a joke on his son. Like the government lets them keep that town. Like that's the one thing they're allowed to keep. So they go there to that town basically just to have a place to stay. And like so they're in this town that they own, and it's like this little eye blink of a backwater town, and so they're all there with all these people that they have nothing in common with. And I had never thought of that before. I had never heard of anything being like that before. And I was like, damn, this is actually pretty kind of cool.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a lot about it. And what is that on? Is that on? That's not on.
It's on. You can watch it on. You can watch it on. It was on Pop, but it's on Netflix now. The seasons are on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's really funny though.
Total aside here, has nothing to do with anything except for Eugene Levy, but I was trying to remember, other than Best in Show, what the movie I was thinking of was. And that movie was for your consideration, by the way. But I was on his filmography. Do you remember a movie in the early 90s called Stay Tuned?
Yes.
With John Ritter, and they get stuck into the TV?
Yep.
How awesome was that movie? That's all I wanted to say.
I like that movie.
So I want to watch that again. It was so much fun.
I like Stay Tuned.
I remember that being
Stay Tuned was a fun movie. Was it Pam Dauber was the other one? Was it her?
She was. Yep, Pam Dauber. Future pedophile Jeffrey Jones was in it, which I can't really watch this stuff anymore.
Well, Jeffrey Jones was all over the 80s and 90s, sadly, which makes all those movies look bad in retrospect.
But he does play Satan in this, so kind of typecasting, I guess, in a way. So,
I
anyway,
love
not to distract you too much.
I love Stay Tuned when I was younger.
I must have watched that. That was like I had a set of movies I would watch every time I stayed home sick from school, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I would watch. Yeah, me too. I would watch that. I would always watch Young Sherlock Holmes. I love young Sherlock Holmes. There's other stuff too that I would watch. That was mainly it. That, and I mentioned Cloak and Dagger in our thing for. We did our little breakdown of movies to watch when you're stuck at home. Cloak and Dagger was in there for me, but it was that and Young Sherlock Holmes were like my two favorites.
I had the weirdest mix.
Like, well.
There was Stay Tuned and Sneakers, the Robert Redford movie with River Phoenix. That was one of my favorites, and then of course Supermarket Sweep. I had to end every sick day with that. I hear they're bringing that back. This would be a good time for it to do Supermarket Sweep, except for you don't set up like a game show. You just send people into a place that just got stocked with toilet paper and paper towels and have them run through with a cart and just watch what ensues.
It's so weird watching stuff right now because everything seems like it's from another planet. I watch no, I mean seriously, because we can't go anywhere, and when you go anywhere, everybody's like standing 10 feet apart. It's just weird. But so I watch the food truck show on Food Network, the competition, and it's just weird. These food trucks around and like tons of people gathered around them, and I'm like, hey, I remember that.
They can't do that. It's illegal.
Be able to do that.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, you know who's having a ball with this is the guerrilla filmmakers who are sneaking out, who have had this idea for a movie. Because everybody knows the hardest shots to get in any movie, the most expensive, are the ones with nothing in them. Empty streets in New York, San Francisco, L.A. And we're seeing, somebody had a side-by-side of that famous Walking Dead promo shot they did years and years ago of that highway into Atlanta next to how it is now. It's like the exact same. There's got to be some guerrilla filmmakers running out there, disregarding quarantine and getting the shots for their little independent movies that are going to make it. And we'll see those roll out here in the next 2 years.
Absolutely. There are so many screenplays being written right now.
Yeah.
So many screenplays are in the works right now.
We need them because didn't Marvel all get pushed back now? They finally pushed back Black Widow, which didn't happen for a while, and then now everything, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because there's still been a pretty consistent amount of news every day. Not quite as much because most productions are shut down and there's not a lot of casting going on. But there's still been a lot of news. It's just the news tends to be about release dates and things getting canceled, and that tends to be what my day is now. Is writing about everything that got moved. Yeah, it is somewhat depressing. So, but we've kind of been sitting around waiting to see what Disney was going to do with a lot of their stuff. In particular, Black Widow, which was supposed to come out in May 1st, and it got pulled completely off the schedule. So, Black Widow finally has a date again, and they kind of did what we thought they were going to do, which is just move everything down. So, Black Widow will now go to November 6th, was the date that Eternals had. So all those people that were hoping Black Widow was going to go straight to streaming, including you, David Harbour, that joint is not happening, and it was never going to happen because they weren't going to make $1 billion. Yeah, they weren't going to make $1 billion through streaming, but they can make $1 billion through theatrical. So, and in fact, I think it's going to be the Marvel movies that become first movies. It may be Wonder Woman if it stays in August, maybe. But I think those are going to be the only, and I have a feeling that Wonder Woman will end up moving again. I don't think it'll stay in August, by the way. Move it again.
Are we thinking we're really going to be at? Are we really thinking we're down until August with movies, or does this thing wrap up like?
Here's the thing. Here's my look at it, my take on it. Let's say theaters reopen in June or July. I used to think that people were going to go rushing back to theaters as soon as they're open. I no longer think that's true.
No.
And a large part of the reason I don't think that's true is because we're going to have like 35% unemployment by the time this is over.
That is something
I'm laughing. I'm laughing, but it's not really funny. I'm serious. I think we're going to have about 35% unemployment, and people are not going to be thinking about going to the movies.
That's the thing people are forgetting is that this thing we don't just come out. It's not like a movie where they say, oh, we got a vaccine, and then everybody goes back to normal. There's still a long road ahead, but yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be a rush to go back in the theaters anymore, at least not for months until things stabilize. So I think even if that happens, look what just happened in China. China started reopening their theaters a couple weeks ago. They opened like 500 of them. And then they had to shut them back down, like within a day or two.
Yeah.
So this is not
the gun on this stuff.
Right, exactly. And like I said, and there's been polling out there that shows a lot of people aren't thinking about movies when this is over. They're not. In fact, we just put up a story about it that people are going to come back, but they're not. They're going to take their time. They're not going to rush back. So I think Wonder Woman ends up moving to a little bit later. Maybe as far as December. But no, Black Widow is set for November 6th, which is where Eternals was. And I think it's the Marvel films that, like I said, I started to say, could be the first things that bring people back in droves. People are going to come out for just a random movie. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're going to take something like Marvel, which everybody loves, to get people back in. And Black Widow could be the first one to benefit from that. I think Black Widow will be huge when they put it out.
Right.
Probably bigger than it would have been normally.
I hope I'm not taking this stuff too seriously, but I mean, this is the importance of entertainment. You know, people might be thinking, how can we talk about stuff at a time like this? But this is what keeps people sane. And honestly, a movie like Black Widow, it's a silly action movie based on a comic book, but it could be the thing that finally gets people to step back out into the light and notice everything's okay and make people feel better for a little while and realize it's going to be all right.
The good thing about this news, and I don't know if I noted it in my post I have, that seeing Marvel plan as far ahead as they do, because they plan through 2022 in this post in their updates, kind of makes you feel like normalcy is around the corner.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it made me feel when I was looking at it, and I was looking at all these dates that they said. I was like, Okay, so there's better times ahead. There will be normalcy again at some point where we can just look at all these Marvel movies coming up and be happy about them. That's coming.
People need the light
point
at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you really kind of need it like this. So Eternals, which was going to open in November, that moves to February 12th, 2021, which was the date that Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings had. But that goes to May 7th, 2021. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that moves to November 5th, 2021. Black Panther 2, that's coming out on May 8th, 2022. So we finally got a firm confirmation of that and a date. And Marvel also officially announced Captain Marvel 2, which they hadn't done yet. They officially announced Captain Marvel 2, and that's coming out on July 8th, 2022, which is just 2 months after Black Panther's sequel. Just 2 months. Black Panther 2 will still be in theaters. I mean, it'll still be in theaters.
Isn't that exactly how the first ones went? Wasn't
yeah,
Captain Marvel 1 just 2 months after Black Panther? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, in fact,
both of them were.
You are right. They were really close together like that. I mean, it didn't hurt them then. I guess it won't hurt them now.
No. Hey, if something works, stick to it.
Yeah. So, now Captain Marvel 2 still doesn't have a director. That's one thing, which is interesting. It's got a writer. I can't remember who it was, but Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden aren't coming back for this one. Rumors they're going to do a Marvel Disney Plus series at some point, but they're looking for a female director to tackle that one. Curious to see who they get. I'm going to put money on. I was going to say Deborah Chow, since she did so good on The Mandalorian, and she's doing the Obi-Wan series. She also got a new writer, by the way, the Obi-Wan series. The guy who wrote the Sword, got the writer, which I joked. Obi-Wan Kenobi's like, you hired who? Tell my story? What? But
right,
because I would not be happy if that were to happen. Yeah, Star Wars 2 still got some things to figure out. Really curious to see who they get to direct that one. I think it's going to be Deborah Chow, or God, I can't remember the director who was going to do Michelle MacLaren, the one who did all those Breaking Bad episodes. Really acclaimed filmmaker. I think she was going to do Wonder Woman before Patty Jenkins.
A little behind the curtain business talk here. I think that's probably something we should elicit the rest of our Punch Drunk Critics group to do, is come up with a group article about who the next big things in female directors are, because I think a lot of people don't know.
Maybe we should do a post about the best female directors to direct Captain Marvel 2.
There you go, and that'll accomplish both tasks, because we'll all have a list of different people.
And you know who my number one will be? My number one will be Lexi Alexander, because I love Lexi Alexander.
And because you choose Lexi Alexander for everything whenever we talk about it on a show.
It's true, because I've always, I mean, I feel like she's one of those underrated filmmakers that will never get her due.
Yeah, she got her chance on Punisher, which was wonderful, and it didn't hit the way it should have, and she kind of got screwed there. But speaking of women in entertainment, you know what we didn't talk about last week, and I don't know if this was on your slate to talk about. You reminded me when you said Obi-Wan and Mandalorian. Rosaria Dawson as Ahsoka Tano.
Yes,
we weren't here last week, so we didn't talk about that. How
is that
awesome
like
is that?
Best casting in the world?
I mean, I don't know what she looks like with head tendrils, but I can't imagine it's the word. There could be anybody better for the role, especially because she has always been such a shining light in like geek fandom for women, and she's spoken out about wanting this role, and we know how good she can be when she's really into something. I mean, it can't get any better than that. Yeah, no,
it can't be better than that. That season 2 of The Mandalorian is shaping up to be pretty awesome already. They added some other people. Oh, they added your boy Michael Biehn.
Yep, Kyle Reese.
They added him to it. Yeah, they added him to it. And there's still that rumor out there that WWE superstar Sasha Banks is in it too. If she's in it, I'm super happy about that too. She's never acted before other than on WWE. And I still hope that she's playing the Mandalorian chick from Star Wars Rebels.
Sabine Wren?
Sabine Wren. I'm still hoping she's playing Sabine Wren. And I'm still hoping that Sabine Wren and Ahsoka are together as they were at the end of Star Wars Rebels.
Well, yeah, and that's going to be a beautiful thing if they manage to, because they've already started crossing over these shows into the movies very little bit with, Ahsoka and people showing up at the end of Rise of Skywalker. But, Rebels, which is universally loved pretty much, ended on a pretty big friggin' cliffhanger. So
it really
seeing
did.
all this stuff come
and
Ahsoka,
Ahsoka's storyline is running through the Clone Wars right now.
I don't know how I feel about that. Have you been watching it?
Yeah, I just caught up with the most recent episode yesterday. Yeah.
I mean, the arc's good. Don't get me wrong, but it like the first 4 episodes were basically lost episodes. Those were done years ago, but this doesn't feel so much like a final season as it does. Oh, here's some stuff we forgot we had in storage. But I don't know. Maybe it could go somewhere.
I'll be honest. I didn't like those first few episodes with the bad breed or the whatever the hell the Bad Batch or those guys were called.
Yep.
They felt like characters from like a Star Wars comic book that I would not read. I mean,
right.
they did not feel like characters that would be in a Star Wars anything. Or as me and my friends would always say, that non-Star Wars is a motherfucker. Like we always say about certain characters that didn't feel right. Like they felt too cartoony or something. Like something doesn't feel right. You could say that character's non-Star Wars is a motherfucker. That's the way they felt to me. They felt very cartoonish, which I mean it is a cartoon. But the characters aren't cartoony for the most part. The Clone Wars is a war series. And they did not feel right to me. And I was like, I don't like them. The instant they came on there, I was like, I don't like them. And I didn't like them at the end of their art. And I hope I don't see them again.
I mean, there's a reason they were cut out of the series proper back in the day. And when the leader looks like I don't know if anybody out there remembers the Rambo cartoon from the 80s, but he looks like Rambo from that Rambo cartoon, basically. Yeah,
they were such stereotypes. They almost felt like they were made to be toys. Like one guy looked like Rambo, one guy was the big lug, the oaf dude. There's one guy who's the dork who looks like they made look like a dork, look like a nerd. And then there's the mysterious sniper guy who looks like Deathshot or something, or Deadshot. And it's like these do not feel like Star Wars characters to me.
No. And then it goes right from that, and Clone Wars has always done this. It always goes right from one storyline to another without much transition, but it goes right from that into Ahsoka's storyline, which feels like it could go somewhere given the right time, but given the fact that the next episode is the finale, I believe, I don't see how they get there, but who knows. Well, the good news is that The Mandalorian, and you don't have to worry, the nice thing about season 1 of Mandalorian after rewatching it again, you really realize all the big names that are in it and how they perfectly handle all of them. Like even people like Ming-Na Wen, who's in one episode for about 5 minutes, it doesn't really feel like she's wasted. You want to see her again, but you hear all these names, you're like, oh.
You always want to see Ming-Na Wen again.
Oh, of course. But, with like Ahsoka Tano, I mean, it's not her own series, so you're wondering, am I getting all excited about Rosaria Dawson in this, and she's going to be in it like that for 5 minutes. One episode is almost a glorified cameo, but the way the Mandalorian handled it the first season, it was okay, and especially that they brought everybody back. Like I wasn't happy that Gina Carano was in and out, and then the other people in his group. But yeah, exactly.
I don't think that they're going to critique. Here's the thing that's different. Ahsoka Tano is, I think, the popular Star Wars ever who has not been in a movie. And she is more popular than most of the characters who have been in movies. And I don't think
there's polls.
What's that?
I was saying there's polls all over the internet about who you like better, Rey Skywalker or Ahsoka, and it's always Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's always Ahsoka. But then again, Ahsoka hasn't had the benefit of being ruined in a movie or anything, so it's
ruined. Okay.
Well, I mean, but it's I'm saying that because I don't necessarily think Rey was ruined. I think you know how I feel about that last movie. It's terrible, but
I know,
but Rey wasn't. But Rey wasn't ruined as a result of that. What I mean by that is when you're in a movie, there's a wider audience that gets to judge you.
Yep.
So it's like, and I'll use football as an example. It's like the crowd that loves the backup quarterback until he becomes the starting quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay,
it's because the backup quarterback hasn't had the playing time to show you that he ain't that great. He's popular, but wait till he steps on the field. You know, that's kind of what I mean by it. You know what I mean? Like if she were in movie, I guarantee you her rating would probably be less.
Yeah. Yeah, but
that's all I mean.
This is a good way to put her in, and then if she dips the toe in the water and the popularity is still there, like it should be with Dawson playing the role, then you're open to her own series or whatever going forward.
And I guarantee you that is the hope that she will show up. She'll probably do an arc. I doubt they'll just bring her for one episode. She'll probably have an arc, in there, you know, where she's accompanying the Mandalorian or something.
Right. I'm just dying to see a set photo because with stuff, obviously they do all these different characters and creatures and stuff like that all the time. But when you take somebody that's popular as a cartoon and then you translate them to a practical film, it doesn't always look right. I mean, Ahsoka is nothing if not distinctive looking. So I'm just interested to see how close they stick to the cartoon.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I can't wait to see how she looks as Ahsoka. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the Mandalorian season 2. That's going to be fun. But I guarantee you, once she does, I'll give it 6 weeks after her first appearance on the Mandalorian. Maybe not even that before we start hearing rumblings about a spinoff featuring her.
Oh, I'm
produced by
already.
Yeah, show run by Dave Filoni, or something like that. It's probably already in the works. You're right. It was probably part of the deal in her signing on too. I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably part of the deal, like an option for her to come back for a series. Probably already in it.
I would usually say yes. Hopefully her agent was smart enough to do that, but Rosaria Dawson being who she is, I could see her as one of the few people that would say, screw it, I'm never getting a chance to do this again. I'm just going to sign up. I don't care what extra they give me.
Yeah. But it would be Disney that would make that offer, not her. Disney would be the ones to be like, yeah, this is part of the deal. We're including an option to bring you back for a series. Like I think that would be part of their their deal to her to bring her back, and I'm sure she would jump at that chance. Have you watched the show was it Briar Patch that's on USA?
No, I haven't watched anything on USA and God knows since Monk maybe.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. It's a noir comedy series. I think it's mostly noir. I think she's looking for a killer or something like that, but it's supposed to be really good. And she's the lead character. It's either still going on right now, still ongoing, or it's just recently wrapped. But
Rosaria Dawson is?
Yeah, she's the lead.
Well, I'm gonna have to look that up on IMDb now because I'm not. I'm usually pretty on board. Yeah, Briar Patch, Allegra Dill. That's a weird name. Oh wow, that looks cool. An investigator returns home to solve the death of her sister from a car bombing. The search unravels corruption. You know what? I wasn't really shaming USA, but I kind of was. But truth be told, USA has had a lot of surprisingly good shows that I've watched later on streaming, like not Death Notice, Burn Notice. Burn Notice was good, and they've had a number of good shows on there. But
they've had a few good things. I mean, I mainly watch WWE Raw on USA, but they've had a couple of good shows. They used to like a show in there called Satisfaction that I think was on for maybe 2 seasons. But and of course, back in the day, in my younger days, it was Silk Stockings. So
I never watched Silk Stockings, but I always got I don't know if this is the name, and it was always confused me because I was like, I don't understand how that's on USA because that seemed like a real Zane's type show, like a Cinemax. It seemed like a Cinemax show with a lot of sexy on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of WWE,
it wasn't a great show, but I don't know why. I don't know. There's no reason why I liked that show. There's no reason. It was just kind of a cheap, cop procedural, and I guess there was a little bit of steam to it. I mean, you would expect that with a name like Silk Stockings, but there's no rhyme or reason to why I liked it.
Did I just realize that show was not Silk Stockings but Stalkings, like stalking somebody? Wow!
Oh,
I just realized that.
You didn't know that?
No. No, I am an idiot. It makes so much sense now. Wow, that ran for 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years that movie. So you mentioned wrestling. We all know you're a big wrestling fan. What's going on this weekend with? Are they
WrestleMania
going forward with it?
WrestleMania is 2 days. It started yesterday. It finishes tonight. I did not watch it. I've been very vocal on social media about my disinterest in WrestleMania this year. But I did start watching the first night this morning. I didn't watch it last night, which just goes to show my general disinterest. But I did watch it. Start watching it today. I'm about to finish it as soon as the show is over. And they're still doing it. It's 2, like I said, 2 nights. They're doing it at their performance center, which is like their home headquarters, their home base. No crowd, which is really weird for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it feels like just another episode of Raw so far. That might change, of course, but right now it just feels like another episode of Raw, which I guess makes sense. You don't need to have you can't have the crowd, the pomp and circumstances for the crowd. So if the crowd can't be there, there's no reason to have it.
But doesn't it come off? I gotta imagine it would come off like a really violent soap opera at that point, like without the crowd, without the.
Wrestling is interesting without the crowd. In some cases, it's better. It's almost like an avant-garde, soap opera. It's really interesting. You can hear everything that everybody's saying, like not just in their interviews, but like during the matches, which really adds something to their characters. You miss all of that in the roar of the crowd during matches, but with this empty stadium, you hear every word, and it's like I don't know if they're talking more or we're just hearing more, but the things they say add so much to their characters. That part of it I'm loving. All Elite Wrestling is handling this no crowd thing better than WWE by far, because they've kind of changed their format. Like they're sticking. I mean, they've always been more about in-ring action anyway, but they're using like pre-taped segments and things like that, and to mix with the in-ring action. Whereas WWE is still doing the same thing as like guys standing in the ring with microphones talking, appealing to the crowd that isn't there. It just looks ridiculous.
Right.
So it's like, so for that reason, WWE has kind of lost me. I've been like, it's not working for me. Conversely, their other show, NXT, which is always focused on in-ring action more than interviews, has been better over the last few weeks with the crowd. So, so it's kind of weird watching wrestling without the crowd audience there. But in some cases,
is the camera work different? Because I got to imagine without an audience, you don't have to go for the live sports version of it. You go more towards like a cinematic camera angle on it.
Camera work is definitely better than with the crowd. It's mostly tighter in on the wrestlers, which I think is good. It's that benefits some wrestlers more than others, by the way. I mean, not everybody's not everybody's as great in the ring as others. You know, wrestling is choreographed, and it's a wrestling is a dance basically, and some people are better at it than others. There are many different ways of wrestling. Some people can kind of freestyle their way through it. Others need step by step, you know, in the ring. They need somebody to kind of guide them through it. And sometimes a tighter focus on the camera does not benefit certain wrestlers. But in general, camera work has changed. So I don't know how long this can continue, though. Like, that's my thing. I don't know how long WWE can continue to have these shows without any crowd, without any kind of, you know, the crowd revenue that they bring. Like, I don't know how long that can continue. I don't know how long that can continue for All Elite Wrestling either. I just don't know. I'm hoping they continue forever.
The entire business plan.
Yeah, I mean, they're like everything else, man. Without an audience, without paying customers, I mean, maybe they can survive on people buying merchandise and maybe revenue they get from TV ratings, advertising revenue. Maybe they can survive on that. But I don't know how long it can go. Whole thing's kind of scary.
I tell you, and you know, I know we're coming down on the last minute here, but we've talked a lot of
that was a fast hour for a show in which we had like one review to talk about.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've always been at our best when we're just rambling, but you know, we've talked about a lot of negative things and a lot of bad things. But one of the cool things about, you know, when stuff like this happens in general, but you know, in this case, the movie industry, is the innovation that comes out of it. You know, necessity always breeds innovation. So we're seeing a lot of these folks take their product and change it to work, and finding other ways to do what they need to do. And you know, one thing is for sure is it's going to change everything down the road as well. Hopefully, it's all for the better.
Yeah, and we've seen. We talked a little bit about this in our meeting yesterday, like Sirius XM, how they've changed their entire format, like everything, because of all this. A lot of websites that do stuff like in studios have had to change their formats. Everybody's had to rethink how they do everything. It's like, I was joking with somebody, talking with somebody, and I was like, it's amazing how fast like all these restaurants and all these businesses, grocery stores, put out commercials talking about how safe they are and how there's contactless pizza to delivery, like from Little Caesars, and like all these places quickly whipped up commercials to make it as if they've never ever touched anything you've ever eaten.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, man, when this stuff is on the line, people can do some amazing things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So.
Contact free, like always. Contact free is like always, really? All right.
I gotta imagine there's some contact in there somewhere, but you know, as long as it's after or no contact after they cook it, I'm good. Just burn those germs off and give me my pizza.
Man, we're down to the last 90 seconds, so we're gonna wrap this thing up. But this has actually been a really fun show.
Yeah, I needed it.
We might have to do it. We'll have to come back next week and BS for an hour again. It was kind of fun. This has been Cinema Royale. I'm Travis Hobson. That is John Nolan. We are the Punch Drunk Critics. Find us every day at punchDrunkCritics.com. You can find various places on TV, and you can find John on the radio as well. Just put our names in and write Film Critic, and you'll find where we are. Yeah, and that's it, my friend. In the next few days, about as long as we're going through this, stay safe, my friend. All right.
You too, man. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Later.
Later.